Thank you for staying with us. Now, moments after President Bola Tinubu suspended the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta Edu, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission invited her for questioning over the alleged payment of 585 million naira grant meant for vulnerable groups in Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Ogun and Lagos States into a private account. Before her invitation by the anti-graft agency, a panel was set up to investigate allegations leveled against the suspended minister. We have more details in this report.
After the suspension of the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, she was denied access to President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa. This vehicle took her out of the villa as she was unable to meet the president. Betta Edu's suspension was announced in a statement by the presidential spokesman Anjuri Ngelale following her alleged involvement in the approval of 585 million naira to a personal account.
And the president is going to ensure that nothing at all will get in the way of that investigation being conducted in a fair and transparent manner, and in a way that Nigerians would have full confidence that whatever conclusion is arrived at is based only on the merits of the investigation.
The president directed the EFCC chairman, Ola Olukoyede, to conduct a thorough investigation into all aspects of financial transactions involving the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. These are the reactions from Nigerians.
Corruption is in Nigeria. There are no exceptions. Young, old, male, female. Everybody is involved. And the critique of yesteryears are those in government today. And unfortunately, what they once criticize are the same thing they do today.
If not because of the patriotic work by EFCC, they would have just kept quiet, just like in the past administration. This kind of situation were happening and some people just decided to keep quiet. This time around, the leadership of EFCC and the ICPC are out there to ensure sanity, in our governance system.
And this is how the Office of the Humanitarian and Poverty Affairs looks like after the suspension of the minister. Her last post on X is the 5th of January. What is the task of the coordinating minister of the Economy and Finance? The president directed Wale Edu to conduct a comprehensive diagnostic on the financial architecture and framework of social investment programs, reform relevant institutions to eliminate institutional frailties, and win back the public confidence.
On 2nd of January this year, President Bola Tinubu suspended the national coordinator of the National Social Investment Program Agency, Halima Shua, over alleged financial misconduct about 3 months after the confirmation of her appointment by the Senate. She was arrested by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission over investigation into the movement of 17 billion naira from the NSIPA account to suspicious beneficiaries within a week. Former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Sadiya Umar Farouk, was also expected to be at the EFCC headquarters over investigation into some activities when she was a minister. In another development, the current Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta Edu, was indicted in allegations of illegal transfer of 500.
All right, that's just to give you further details of the various aspects to matters or developments out of the humanitarian ministry. Well, joining us in the studio is strategy consultant and public affairs analyst Dikbo Oyewole. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
And also here is public affairs analyst Daniel Akilami. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you
Thank
us
you.
this morning.
It's my pleasure.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, same to you.
It seems the new year has started on a very intense note with the number of cases we are seeing matters of corruption, allegations, not yet proven, but then signs here and there, investigations going on with regards to all of these cases. But let's get your perspective to what the developments we're seeing out of the humanitarian ministry. I remember that this ministry is meant to help Nigerians, just to cushion the effect of whatever it is they're facing in society, and to just be there. That was the essence of setting up this ministry. But the level of cases and matters of corruption that we are seeing, the recent revelations that we are seeing, is mind-boggling.
Well, I think to start with, this unfolding drama is not surprising to many Nigerians, because this ministry in particular, this Humanitarian Affairs Ministry, in the past 4 or 3 years, have been enmeshed in different controversies in respect of this social trusts program. And a lot of people have raised eyebrow on the manner and the approach for which this social investment program is being carried. And there are also issues around the variability of the data being used, and how much of the people are being reached. So how effective is this program? Don't forget, during the lockdown, during COVID, when everybody was in the house, there were reports of students being fed.
Yeah.
And which were not being able to be verified. So the controversy has been looking around. So we are just seeing the full unleashing now. So the drama, perhaps, as it's starting now, is going to sweep many people in that ministry, especially some of the directors and program coordinators, like you see in this woman's case, the coordinator for the NSIP.
Accountant, project accountant, or accountant.
So many people are going to be caught up. But the interesting part of this one that is unfolding now, since past 2-3 days, in regard to the minister, the new minister, is the fact that this is a new minister. And this is a younger person that people have been looking up to, that should come in to make a difference. And there's been the cry for the young people to be integrated into leadership.
That was why we had the not young.
So this is quite disappointing, heavily disappointing. But the lesson for us to focus on in the midst of all of this is that we are not yet doing the right thing to curb corruption. That is why, what I mean is that what we are treating is just these symptoms. We'll keep seeing these instances. It's not the first time. Under Obasanjo government, ministers were suspended for graft and corruption issues. Under Jonathan government, ministers were suspended. Under Buhari too. I can even mention it under Buhari. Addis Abala Usman was suspended in NPA. I'm not sure there's any prosecution. The former EFCC chairman, Ibrahim Magu, was suspended. So we just see the whole drama unfold and it ends there. It's just like a vapor. No substance. We are just like, our approach to fighting corruption is just like a circus show. Now, yesterday, the media is awash with the story. Comments are flying up and down. In the next few days, it will go down. Everybody will move on. Another minister will be indicted again.
Why do you think it will go down in the next few days?
The reason is this, because we have not taken the strong measure.
Right.
And if we are ready to face corruption, there are issues we must begin to address. Corruption in this country is a killer.
All right. We'll come to that. I'm taking note of what you just said, but let me come to you, Diko. You've been itching to speak on this matter. I know we had a conversation before we came on air, but let's get your perception of this unfolding drama. A lot of persons have said there's season 1, season 2, and this is the season 3, and they are hoping to see what will unfold in the coming days with the steps the government has taken with regards to suspending her as we speak. In fact, there are reports that she was denied access to seeing the president. Her access card was withdrawn. All of those being measures. And the president was commended, for taking these steps, how swift and decisive the steps taken by the government is. Are you confident that this current administration is ready to nip corruption in the bud, even as you talk to us about what your perception of what is happening is?
Yes, I believe they are to a certain degree, because I mean this is a very good example, because what we've seen in time past is that issues like this get swept under the rug and there isn't much to be done. I mean, the conversation came out a couple of days ago, maybe 1 or 2 days ago, and then she's been suspended under 48 hours. So that for me is quite commendable and a step in the right direction. But I would like to see adequate investigations done, and possibly...
That's why she was suspended, because
yes,
the government says they want to ensure transparency.
Transparency, yes. So going further after investigations, because in time past we've said we've had conducted investigations and somehow they never led to meaningful prosecutions. So in this case, thorough investigations need to be done. If there are issues to be prosecuted, let us see it happen. Because we need to have a strong deterrence against corruption in this country. Because for me, it is quite alarming where we have one particular ministry to be embroiled in this kind of conversation practically every year since the year it has been founded. So what's the objective? You're saying that you're a humanitarian affairs ministry, and then nobody within a 1 mile radius can stretch their hands or have a phone call or say that this is one person that has been impacted positively by a ministry. And what we keep hearing is billions of naira keep going out the window. Like you rightly said, during COVID, they said they fed children, and they stood on that hill saying that, no, you can't fault them for it. And people were saying, even if you want to lie, at least make it make sense. We knew everybody was at home. Government mandated lockdowns. We were all at home. So what do you mean by we're feeding students? At some point, you saw videos and pictures of the minister going to certain communities with wads of cash and handing out cash to people. And we're asking, is this the most efficient way to get this done? So for me, so far, this ministry has sort of been a bit of a cancer to us. And in my own opinion, if you ask me, I'd say you dissolve it all together, because so far it has failed to deliver the objective for which it was set aside in the first place. And somehow it's proving to look like it's a very easy avenue for people to sort of get...
for corruption?
Yes, because, I mean, I can always say that, oh yes, I was able to reach 1 million Nigerians today, and because we don't work with a lot of data, and then you just see some people just come up with some kind of funny names, and then nobody...
We have a social register.
Is it functional? Is it functional? That's what we've been saying. Last year when the issue of the petrol subsidy came up, and then the president said that he wanted to put some amount in place to help a lot of people, and then we said, see, it may be a good idea, but we need to work with accurate data. Where is the data coming from? Is it coming from the federal government, or is it coming from state governments via the local governments, which are the people who are, which is the arm of government closest to the people? So we must work with accurate data. But so far, it doesn't look like we're serious enough to get that done. So personally, I'd say we dissolve it, because we can't keep having this kind of money pits in a time where we're saying we're having serious economic hardships and people are struggling, and a particular ministry has been set up to serve as a buffer for people, but so far all that is going into some personal pockets and it's not reaching the people. We can't afford it, so we dissolve it altogether. That's my own opinion on it.
But in her own opinion, she said, talking about Betta Edu now, she said that all of this is just an attempt to tarnish her image, that she followed due process, even though the accountant general said that she did not give accent to the memo that was sent to her from the ministry through Betta Edu. And because it was a project accountant, the project accountant, that was why she said that she was asking that that money be paid into the account of the project coordinator or the project accountant, so to speak, so that she'll be able to disburse these monies to states like Lagos, Ogun, Akwa Ibom, whom are supposed to be beneficiaries at the end of the day, because reports say that Kogi State had already benefited, and we saw pictures splashed on social media. I wonder how you read that. Do you think that there are some persons, because there are also reports of her role in the unraveling of some of these matters of corruption by her predecessors, so to speak, and now her case is being put forward? Do you think that maybe someone is just trying to...
Well, first, I think she has a right to defend herself.
Absolutely.
And we should be doing soon. If this government is really serious, they put all the evidences together and they prosecute her, she will have that chance to defend herself. But do you know there's something fundamentally wrong in Nigeria today? And that is what many of us are missing. This audacity, this confidence to go into public office, and the next thing you start thinking of is how to make money and steal.
Is that what you see here?
It's really endemic. It shows how corruption has become systemic. Now, this what I'm trying to say is this. You see, people, it's the people that are being caught now that we are discussing. And I'm very certain in the next few weeks, we are still going to discuss more about other ministers, people who are put their hand to be involved in unnecessary activities. Now, this is an elementary mistake in public administration.
Yes, because she's been
the federal government's
office.
Financial regulation is clear.
Right.
Section 713 of that rule says an individual cannot pay money into federal government accounts. And you cannot pay money into a private and individual account. And anyone who does that definitely have a fraudulent intention. It's very clear. This is an elementary thing in public administration. There are advisors in that ministry. There are directors. There are people who...
She's not a novice
exactly.
when it comes to the matters of public office.
Yes. So now, why I say this is because what has been going on in that ministry is alarming. From the former minister, even to the program coordinators in different aspects of the activities going on there. But there is something that we need to look at. The mindset. How did Nigeria get to this point that the mindset of people going to public is to take something for their personal gains? Because if you don't address this mindset, and you hear people talking in the streets, on social media, when people are appointed as ministers, they are throwing party, families are jubilating, it's as if they've won a lottery ticket.
So you hear some say that it's their time to feed off the national
But the
cake.
issue is this. For Nigeria to make progress, for Nigeria to rise, for us to get the economy up, we must fight graft and stop it. What we are doing now is just a joke. We are not fighting graft. We are not even ready to fight graft.
How do you mean?
For example, look at the 8 years of Buhari. Buhari came in with high expectation. Former general, he dealt with corrupt people in the 80s. He jailed several people. In fact, people were really boasting on TV when he became president in 2015. Buhari will jail them. Buhari will deal with them. Buhari will finish them. Buhari got there. Buhari just left everybody and see all the things coming out under the Buhari regime.
But he kept some people in charge of
from
these
CBN
offices to address this matter.
Now, this issue is this.
Right.
We are not making efforts. We are not doing reforms to build our institutions to stop corruption. This is not a one-man's fight. Let's start from the institutions. That's what we were expecting from Buhari for the 8 years. There have been this calls for special courts to try corruption cases. Like we have special tribunal for election cases.
Right.
Nobody is doing anything. National Assembly is not doing anything. Now, look at all the laws that we have. We have about 5 different laws now to tackle corruption issues. Starting from the Constitution,
right.
Schedule 5 of the Constitution talking about code of conduct of public officers. We have the ICPC Act. We have the EFCC Act. We have the Money Laundering Act. And then we still have another one. Then look at all of these laws. See what we are still seeing today. Now, what is the highest punishment for corruption today? If we aggregate all of these laws, look at the ICPC Act, which is even the most recent, updated, amended. The highest punishment you see is like 7 years.
That's not
In
enough.
fact, there are categories under these graft offenses that you get 2 years and or with a fine option of fine of 1 million naira. Is that how we want to stop corruption? And we need to wake up. We must build the institutions. We must begin to reform these laws. Today, with what corruption is doing to Nigeria, we should not be talking less than 20 years imprisonment.
25.
And even if we want to really solve this issue, this corruption issue, we should go the route of countries like China and Indonesia. You know what they do to corrupt people in China? So that is where we can say we are serious, because corruption is a killer.
Yeah.
Corruption destroys lives. Corruption has denied Nigerian citizens good road, good infrastructure, health facilities.
Right.
Corruption has increased child mortality.
Right.
Corruption has reduced life expectancy in this country. People are groaning under serious condition. The welfare is not existing. See, this is what we are talking about. It's even supposed to be a welfare. So if we continue to just follow the sensation, oh, somebody has been suspended, it's just like going around the circles. It's just the sensation. We are not doing the work. None of these people, since 1999, is ready to do this work. Maybe we can give some credit to Obasanjo government for pushing all the reforms that brought ICPC, EFCC. What have the other president done since then?
So you're not confident that something will come out of this?
No, we have seen this before. We have seen this before. Now, what we are expecting, let there even be prosecution in the next few days. Let her be charged to court. That should build confidence, because suspension is not enough.
She's expected to get to the EFCC office today.
Well, let me say this. I commend the president for taking that bold step.
Right.
It's fantastic. We didn't see this kind of proactive steps under the former government.
Yeah.
Buhari will be there. These allegations will be flying all over social media and media houses for 3 months. No action until one day when the thing became too embarrassing, they will now take action.
So it means the government is listening.
But this is good. This is proactive. But this is just the teething step to addressing these issues. We have seen people suspended before, and they quietly walk away. It's like a paddy thing. Just don't worry. They will all stop shouting very soon. They quietly walk away and live a private life somewhere else. Some relocate to UK. You know? So, and in the future, when the noise has gone down, they return to Nigeria. We are not yet serious. We are not yet. We are just deceiving ourselves that we want to stop graft. We need to treat graft the way we treat other crimes. For example, now, look at rape. A rapist will badge like life imprisonment.
Right.
And if you are not badging life imprisonment, you'll be badging serious terms. 20 years, 25 years.
With hard labor.
Yes, with hard labor. And here we are, when people are sentenced for murder, what do they give them? Life imprisonment. Manslaughter, life imprisonment. So, yeah, we are talking about the thing that's become endemic.
Right.
It's killing citizens. It's killing the country. It's embarrassing the country.
Right.
It's robbing us of our potential. Right. We are supposed to be the giant of this continent. The corruption has messed us up. See all the money that's been laundered. See the money we are still collecting back from Abacha, from his grave.
Right.
So we can't continue like this as a country. We have to do something drastic.
Interesting. Let me come to you, Dikbo. I need you to react to some of the things he has said, especially the fact that we are not ready as a country to actually tackle this matter of corruption head on, especially from the root. Talking about laws, we have laws, but not much is being seen with regards to results from these laws. I'm also asking, is it a matter of law or is it a matter of morality?
It is a matter of law, because if we leave it to morality, then we're leaving it to the discretion of a few. And you would find that in the case of morality, where certain incentives have been put in place, certain moralities can be bent, some can be induced. So where we have law that says that when you do this, these are the consequences.
But if you know you are coming to serve the people, and your intention is to genuinely serve the people, shouldn't you follow through with service delivery for the interests of the people?
So you're the one talking about you coming to serve. Because somebody is in a position to serve people doesn't mean they are there to serve. That's not their own primary intention. They just happen to be in the office. So it's just, it's an assumption that we like to make. And unfortunately, that's why we are where we are today. Like you rightly said, for me, I mean, personally, I think that for cases of corruption, we shouldn't be looking at anything less than 25 years. At the very least, 25 years, recover the money. I've said that here before. 25 years, recover the money, no option of fine. Because where we have the problem is, you see someone steal an obscene amount of money, and then, I mean, there was a particular case that was around a couple of years ago. I'm trying to remember the details in particular, where somebody embezzled maybe something around 7 billion naira, and then was fined, was it 7 million naira or some very outrageous amount, and he never went to prison. That cannot work. So it then comes to, excuse me, I steal your phone today, I'm charged to court. I do maybe 7 to 10 years, but I steal the commonwealth of a nation, excuse me, and then I have the option of a fine. So it then becomes the bigger the thief, the more lucrative it is, because that's what the system is saying. And until we're able to address these issues, we will keep having these conversations every single time. So we must see how we have strong deterrents in place, especially from the position of our laws, to see that corruption is no longer fashionable in our system.
How have strong deterrents put in place, for instance, when we talk about the matter of kidnapping, stealing, and all of that? There was the matter of time where we had a capital punishment.
Yes.
And that hasn't deterred as much people from carrying out all of this heinous act. That's why I'm still wondering, is it necessarily about the law?
So it is about the laws. And with the issue of kidnappings and how we see it on the rise today, it is a function of how many kidnappings happen, how many kidnappers are arrested, prosecuted, or maybe given a death sentence. How many of them are being arrested? It's not an issue of how many of them are being successfully prosecuted. You get where?
Right.
So that's where the problem is. It's about you apprehending those kidnappers at the law enforcement stage of the law. Because the law itself has a bit of a value chain to it.
Absolutely.
The law doesn't start from the courts.
Definitely.
It starts from apprehension of the suspected criminal.
Right.
The apprehension is where we're having a problem with the kidnappers, the bandits, and all these guys. It's because they are seen to not be apprehended as much as they should. That's why we're having that particular issue on the rise. So in this case where we're talking about the commonwealth of a nation being stolen, and we are having certain folks investigated, at the level of prosecution, are they being prosecuted successfully, or we are botching a prosecution? So we're saying, in the case where they're even being prosecuted successfully, what are the provisions of the law? Because whatever prosecution you're putting in place has to fall within the provisions of the law. So if the law says that you prosecute this person successfully, but the highest sentence they can get is 2 million naira fine, 2 years in prison, and the person stole 20 billion naira, they will go and stash the money abroad, do their 2 years, pay the 2 million naira if they still have to pay it, chill. I mean, and you know that a prison term is not calendar years. Like
right.
We do 12 months, theirs is 9 months. So in 18 months, maybe they even get out before 18 months.
Right.
Go abroad, spend the money. Some people will tell you that it is a bargain worth making. But if you know that you spend like 25 years and maybe you're likely not even going to survive your prison term, you think twice about it. Where you know that having to pay fine is not an option or is not on the table, then you have to consider it. But that's what we're saying, that we need to look at strong deterrents that must be included into our laws. Because even in time past, with the last administration, we saw EFCC botch a couple of cases. And then we complained that, what are you doing?
It was more of media trial.
It was more of a media trial. So what is the point of saying that you're investigating someone and then you don't have some level of concrete proof? I mean, today, if you hear that the FBI wants to investigate somebody, if they come and arrest you in your house, just know that, just wave bye-bye to your family. Because for all intents and purposes, they've likely been watching you for 5 years. They've been investigating you, they didn't call you, but you don't know that they've tapped your phones, they're talking to friends and family, everybody's tapped, they're trailing you. So by the time they come and meet you, that Mr. Man, come to the federal building, you know that you are done. So that is what we need to get to. That's one of the problems we have in our country today, especially from the law enforcement perspective, where investigations aren't done in a very concrete manner. because where it then gets to the level of prosecution, everything falls apart. So what then is the point of spending all those man hours getting the expectations of the people up, getting people paid to, because each time they ferry the person to jail, back to the courts and all of that, you are burning taxpayer money for fuel. The personnel are getting paid for it. You are wasting the court's time, because in the end, if there isn't going to be prosecution to lead to conviction, as far as I'm concerned, you wasted the court's time. Where we have clear cases of corruption. So we must see how we address these issues, and we must address them very, very urgently, because we cannot afford all this bleeding that we're bleeding. And I will go back to what I said before. This particular ministry needs to be dissolved in its entirety.
Really?
Dissolve it. Head of service to see how they can reshuffle the personnel to other ministries. They have their file with them. This is something they can do in 10 working days if they are serious about it, and they're giving directives from the president to do so. This ministry has overstayed its welcome. Nigerians are saying enough is enough. We're not doing it again. Social welfare, all of that. Focus all this money. So you have access to 595 million naira, right? Can we say we are committing that money to fund our educational system? Can we say we are putting it into healthcare? Because I think it is more effective if I have a functional primary healthcare center in my neighborhood where people can take their children to, as opposed to saying you are handing out 5,000 naira to people that will do what? Crate of egg yesterday was 3,600 from a wholesaler. By the time it gets to a retailer, it's 3,800. 2.5 years ago, crate of egg was 700 naira, 750, 800. Today we are talking 3,600, 3,800. So you hand somebody 5,000 naira, they can't even comfortably say that they want to buy a crate of egg and something tangible with it.
So there are those who argue that this monies are given to the poorest of the poor, who may not necessarily want to buy egg as it is.
And so what can they buy with it? Because how much is payment of gari? Because they will have to use gari at some point in a week.
Gari, actually.
how much is it? And how far would it go? So that's what we're saying.
Can we have the lands? This monies mean a lot to them.
Yes. So I also believe. So the issue with that as well is they are also a very good cover, because in the times when we then get to ask questions, you then hear, these people, they don't have WhatsApp. These people, they're not on Twitter. So when we give them money, they cannot post the money on social media. They don't have bank accounts. Right. All that is a cover.
Right.
It is a cover. You'd be surprised how banked these people are. Some of these people have access to grants. They have access to funding from different platforms. Different NGOs have access to these people where they get mobile money and all of that. So let's not start with all of that.
They have means of accessing monies.
They have means of accessing it. So it is all a cover.
Right. Let me come to you now, Mr. Kinlami. Are you also of the opinion that this ministry should be totally buried? Let me use that word, because the president is looking at how this ministry can be reworked, so to speak, such that Nigerians can still benefit from it. I know that Dikko may have his grouse with regards to handouts and all, but there are those who appreciate these handouts the more, because it changes their life one way or the other. Even though, yes, we see the corruption and all of it, is it about reworking it or about totally putting an end to these matters of social intervention?
Well, I think I won't say it should be totally buried. The problem we are facing is just the implementation problem. It's a novel idea. It's a great idea. And if we can rework it and get proper administrator. After all, this program was under the office of the vice president before.
Yes.
And we didn't have this kind of controversy. So if the committee set up by President Tinubu can really work on reforming the program and the structure around it, perhaps they can dissolve the ministry, but the program should not be thrown away, like throwing the baby and the bathwater. So they should work around it, that because no matter how it is, the problem we have with this and why we are talking now is because the people that are supposed to benefit from this welfare are not getting it, and the money are being stolen. That's even why Nigerians are hungry. So no matter what, if the program is implemented effectively at some certain level in these different states or local government, some lives are meant to be impacted.
Yes.
So, and then we cannot totally, because of the graft that we are seeing and the corruption issue that is trying to overshadow the whole good intention, to throw the whole thing away totally. So I subscribe to the idea that they can rework it. But beyond that, what is central in the midst of all of this is the way corruption has become systemic.
Right.
Because we are talking about Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs now. There are also allegations now still flying around about different ministries, which have not blown out.
Is done.
Yes, it's already on social media, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So look at the allegation against the Minister of Interior too.
Yeah.
The consultancy contract given by this
I think
same...
he has debunked that.
Yes, I think it did. So,
Yeah.
but you know, things are unraveling. You know, things are easily debunked until the strong evidences, you know, find their way to the public space. So, but beyond this, we are in the era where we shouldn't still be seeing this kind of activities going on among the cabinet members.
Right.
This is one of the problems Nigeria has been trying to solve since 1999. And we haven't. So if President Tinubu wants to really tackle the corruption, he has hard work to do. This hard work is what many of these past presidents have dodged. The hard work will even threaten your own life to fix it. So if you are not ready to make this sacrifice once and for all, to give Nigeria this break over the battle against graft, then no matter what you achieve, and this is what I know, this is a fundamental thing. Do every reform in every other sector, put the best of hand of administrators. If we do not stop graft, after you leave office, a generation of politicians will still come and loot everything and dismantle every good work we have done. Because at the heart of what is slowing our progress, our growth as a nation, is the siphoning of the public money. The way people are even laundering the money that should have made a difference in the life of the citizen, that should have provided more road, more infrastructures, that we should have better rail services connecting every part of the country, have better health care services. So this money are being laundered, and it has not stopped. If we look at the money Nigeria has lost to graft in the past 25 years, not even look under the military era, this democracy, in the past 24 years, since 1999, what we have lost is crazy, is mind-boggling. And we are not even really looking at it in that way. See, if you are even the finest of president, whatever structure you are putting in place, policies and everything, you shown out fantastic ideas, but there is no strong deterrent. There's no measure to stop a CBN governor from abusing his office. There is no strong measure to stop a minister of humanitarian affairs from abusing her office. Those policies will be messed up at the long run, on the long run. Because that is the cocoa of the matter. Because no matter how you are a fine administrator, the best leader that can turn things around, put in fine policies, because human beings still have to man these agencies and ministries to implement these policies. So, and what people fear most is the punishment that their life will hang upon. If today we have life sentence for corruption charges, for corruption offenders, I'm very certain and sure when people get appointment to become ministers, their spouses will be begging them, don't steal government money. We need you to come back home alive. But because the deterrent is not strong. From what was
said with regards to this matter of deterrent, it shows the National Assembly has a major role to play with addressing the lapses in the various laws that we have.
Yes, definitely.
The National Assembly that we have now, do you see them addressing the lapses?
This has always been some of the questions that people raise all the time.
Yeah.
That the National Assembly may not cooperate, the people there may not allow the reform to happen. But do you know the president can also do a lot with executive powers before he gets some of these acts reformed or amended?
Right.
Executive power can do a lot. The president can issue the executive order that every minister should declare their assets yearly, and nothing can stop it. If you fail to comply to that, you can be booted out of the cabinet. When you declare your asset yearly, even Nigerians can monitor what you worth before you became minister and what you are earning. That is just one measure. The president can give executive order that no minister should award contracts to himself, to his family, to his children, to his sibling, even though it's already in our laws. It's in all of these code of conduct and all of those.
But you know
things.
how we find our way around these things.
But when the president gives an executive order, and the consequences of not obeying that order is that you are booted out of the government. And it will not end there, because you will still be prosecuted under the normal law, the general laws.
Yeah.
You still face prosecution. So executive order can even come as the cabinet members are being sworn in, that no minister should award or pay for social money beyond certain amount. There is prescription for that in the public administration and the federal government financial regulations. There are certain money that a
So
minister
we already
cannot
have
approve.
this
Directors of NDAs cannot approve.
Right.
But when the president is ready, he will start the battle with his own power in his own hand. And when the executive orders begin to gain ground, he will march to the National Assembly. The work of the National Assembly is also politics. It's lobbying. The president has, like Nigeria president is one of the most powerful in Africa.
Right.
If I could even say in the world. If the Nigeria president is ready to stop this whole madness or craziness that is affecting us, that is putting shame to Nigeria, he has the political will to lobby and marshal his strength to get the National Assembly. If you want to get serious progress, go forward with life imprisonment. By the time you negotiate with those guys there, 20 years imprisonment will come out for corruption charges.
25, please.
Also, so that's it. It's the willpower that is lacking. It's the willpower. We have not seen anyone that is ready to put his life on the line to help Nigeria in stopping corruption. That's what's been happening. Everybody just get there. I will try my best. I don't want to die. You know, I don't want pie, as we say in our PG English. So that is where the issue is. So until we get a leader who understands these challenges and who is ready to stake his own life to fix it for Nigeria, then Nigeria will begin to grow and achieve its potential in the community of nations.
Right. Now, let's get your perspective, Dikpo, to this matter, our determination to addressing it as it is. He has talked about the matter of the law, which you also alluded to. And again, I'll throw this question of, are you sure the National Assembly we have now will want to tinker with the laws and address some of the issues that you have pointed out? 25 years imprisonment, he's saying 20 years, and all of those life imprisonment, and then a declaration of asset.
I'm not sure. This particular National Assembly, unfortunately, I'm not very confident.
Right.
Maybe another one. But this one, I'm not particularly confident that they will do anything about it with regards to what we've talked about today. But like you rightly said,
Executive orders.
they're executive orders.
Right.
And there are provisions under the law that fall within the purview of the authority of the office of the president and the commander-in-chief. So he can use those tools. And so this is how to play the game very simply. So you have executive orders that go out with respect to this, knowing that we have a National Assembly that will likely be very sluggish with it or maybe drag their feet with it. So you push out the executive orders with regards to it. Once they gain ground, like you said, you then throw it at the steps of the National Assembly after you have been able to win the confidence of the people with the executive orders. So you then show that I'm not the problem, they are the problem. They are the representatives. You voted them, right? They are the ones you will talk to. So that is when Nigerians will then know that, okay, so I think this is where our problem is. These are the people who will protest to go and miss. These are the people who will need to recall. Who voted nay?
But you know the process of recalling any one is a tortuous one.
Yes, it is. But when you know that you and maybe 24 of your colleagues are in the process of it, wouldn't you want to behave? Because in the end, so this is it. Nobody wants, either if the process of recalling is successful or not, one day we will get it right.
One day.
One day we will get it right. But we have to start somewhere. And we can't just say that, okay, because these ones are not going to do it, we leave it undone. So that's why it is important that the president is able to use the facility, I'll use that word, of the executive orders to see how he can drive one or two things, especially with regards to this issue of corruption, where he's able to drive it to a certain level where he is then able to gain a lot of social capital from it. And then Nigerians are saying that, okay, this man is very serious about this. And then there is no way people will not ask questions. Because the question then becomes, if the president is using executive orders to drive this, why do we have a whole arm of government that is dedicated to helping us make our laws? People will then start to ask questions, even before he lays it at the steps of the National Assembly. So the president, well, I won't say unfortunately, but in this case, must see how he will bell the cat and show leadership in this particular regard. Because it is easier to say that he should show leadership because it's just one person, as opposed to saying everybody in the National Assembly, and then before you are saying you are chasing this person, he's the slippery person, he has gone again, you are chasing this person. So he's one person that has this kind of authority that he can use at will under the provisions of the law to drive effective change. When it has gained enough momentum, then we can see how we can use it to hound the National Assembly to get things forward. But we must get this particular matter going, and it is important that we do so. Also, to clarify something with regards to me saying that the ministry should be scrapped. Now, I mean, like I said before, when we had the conversation around the subsidy being removed and 8,000 naira that the government proposed that they wanted to give out to people, I was actually on a few platforms where people raised that issue, and they were saying, no, they're going to steal it. I actually advocated for it because of the way the NNPCL botched the whole subsidy thing. I won't get into it now. But with the issue of having to rework it, that's what I don't have confidence in. I am not particularly against the social program. I am against the processes that we would need to put in place to make sure it is effective.
Perhaps they'll look at the loopholes that we have now and look at how they can address that in the reworking of it.
So in that particular regard, may I make a proposal that even if, I mean, like you said, even if they're going to scrap the entire ministry, they should keep this particular program going, maybe convert it to an agency, shove it under a particular ministry or shove it under a particular office, right? Can we then say that this reworking can have a trial run of maybe 3 months, and we're able to adequately evaluate what the wins are? In 3 months, if it works, we go another 3 months.
Right.
If it works, we go another 3 months. But in the first 3 months, if we see that we are not able to make heads or tails of it, we do away with it. Because, like I said, somehow it has become an avenue for people to just see how they can get a lot of money out of the system. Because even when we're saying that we are reworking it, and you find out that for every 1,000 people that are reached at maybe 10 million naira, we are losing another 20 million. Will we call that a win? Or will we say that we have reworked it and then something is happening? So that is what I have an issue with. The confidence that we will actually rework it and make it as airtight as possible. Because in the case where we're able to reach 1,000 people at maybe 10 million naira, and then somebody pocketed 20 million. And then they're saying, who are the people you've reached? And then after the 1,000 people, 500 come out on WhatsApp, on Instagram, on all of that. See, I was able to get this out. You see, the money, the 30 million that we said was out of the system.
Basically, humans are still the ones going to manage.
Yes, so it is, and I'm not trying to be a pessimist. It's because we have to also look at the history of things and how it has been done so far. Now, not saying that we cannot change course, but in this particular regard, it does seem like the public procedures that will need to be put in place to ensure that it is airtight and they are not there yet. And I don't want us to gamble anymore because we can't afford it.
Right.
We can't afford it.
It's taking a lot.
Much money that we're losing.
Right.
We can't afford it.
Now, let me come to you, Mr. Akinlami, what are the lessons here, perhaps, for ministers, other ministers? I recall that while they were being sworn in, while they were ministers designate, there was conversation about the fact that things were not going to be business as usual. If you're not meeting up, you were going to be shown the door. And they had a retreat at some point to be given their KPIs and KPIs, the Key Performance Index, and actions at the time. And one wonders, with what we are seeing, what really is going on. I wonder what lessons are there for persons who, I mean, this is an office that is giving you an opportunity to write your name in gold in the sands of time, but we are seeing these kinds of things.
Like you rightly said, the issues are not even the KPIs and the retreat, the ministerial retreat, and those are even great ideas that are supposed to even accelerate their performances and good deeds in the office they're occupying. Yeah. But for the lessons to learn from this, those going into public offices, especially by appointments, they need to understand one thing, that the time and the season has changed. We are in the era of social media. And I really want people to understand one thing. Those days you can steal and manage to hide it for years. But to steal and run away with it now is far more difficult. Because for you to steal as a public officer, you will need a partner or an accomplice that will follow you to assist you in successfully. If you are a director in MDA or even a minister, the least you will need, the least you will need as a director general is the accountant general of the agency to countersign that, yes, this is for this purpose, they release the money. But the problem right now is the fact that we also need to address the mindset of people going into public service. And there is this phenomenon that is spreading like a cancer. You see people whispering it, talking about it, that some of these people paid a lot of money before getting this appointment. Right. And as soon as they enter, they are trying to recoup. Right. And they even lose their sanity, that they put their hand into what they're supposed not to put their hands into.
All right, your final word, because our time is...
Yeah, so I mean, this will also be a very good time to call out the other ministers, because we've seen a lot of ministers that we've not heard anything from since they've been sworn in, since after the retreat. And we'd like to see Hadiza Bala to also come out to let us know what is going on. Who are the people?
I think we are the Key Performance Index.
Yes,
the measurement will soon happen.
So we're hoping that maybe before the end of this month. I mean, I have particular ministries in mind: Minister of Health, Minister of Education. Now talk. Minister of Power, the Ministers of Youth Affairs. What is going on? What is going on? What is going on? We need to deliver the promise to the Nigerian people, and we must do it very, very urgently.
Right. Gentlemen, I must thank you for your contribution. So for strategy consultants and public affairs analyst, Dikbo Oyewole, thank you.
Thank you.
As well as public affairs analyst, Daniel Akinlami. Thank you for your time. Interesting conversation so far. But let's let you know that the views and reactions of